Like if you have anybody in this tier at a different position, I'm not going to argue with you. I have Pitts at 7. If you have Pitts at 2, so be it.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Freaks. I'm Jason, he's Vaz, and today we're wrapping up our positional rankings with tight ends as we slot in the rookies to each positional ranking to see where they rank. Although I probably should say rookie when it comes to tight end, because it's pretty much just Brock Bowers and how he ranks with the rest of the positions when it comes to tight end SuperFlex Dynasty rankings. So Vaz has got his list together. And Vaz, let's start off with tier number 1, which has only one name. We've got Laporta there all by his lonesome.
Yeah, I think everybody has Laporta as a tight end 1. He had a phenomenal rookie season. He passed the eye test. He's in a great offense. And I think for everybody, he's the clear tight end 1 based on talent, based on youth, based on production. So I don't think there's a whole lot to say here. We'll get into the next tier, and I think there'll be a whole lot more to say about tier 2.
Yeah, I've got Laporta alone in his own tier, exactly as you do. So I think it's a no-brainer that everyone's going to agree with. So let's move on to tier number 2, which is indeed where our rookie is, Brock Bowers. But you've dropped him below Hawkinson, who tops the tier. So you've got Hawkinson, Bowers, and then Mark Andrews, Kincaid, McBride, and then Pitts to round out the tier.
Okay, so I'll try to touch on all these guys a little bit if I can. So I've got Hawkinson at 2, which I think a lot of people will disagree with because of the injury. But for me, he was probably the tight end 1 before the injury, even ahead of Laporta. I think he proved last season he's just immensely talented and can he was grabbing 10 to 15 targets per game with Kirk Cousins leading the offense there. I think he's a great tight end, immensely talented, and the injury has pushed him down to 2 for me. I think that's clear. But also, I had him at 3 before the rookie draft. But they improved the quarterback situation with JJ McCarthy, so I've elevated him ahead of Brock Bowers because of that. And then Brock Bowers at 3 has dropped from 2 to 3 post NFL draft because of the landing spot. I love his talent. I love his prospect profile. But I did not love the landing spot, and I think he's going to have a tough time earning targets there early on, especially with Devontae Adams there, and Jacoby Myers, and also Michael Mayer, who's not going anywhere. So he has fallen down to 3, and I will say that I think this tier is very fluid. Like if you have anybody in this tier at a different position, I'm not going to argue with you. I have Pitts at 7. If you have Pitts at 2, so be it. Like I'm fine with that. I think this is a wide open tier. You can move them any which way you. It's just based on personal preference.
Okay, and Mark Andrews at 4.
Yeah, so Mark Andrews is a guy I really like. I think he's capable of a tight end 1 season ahead of Laporta, of course. He's a little bit older at 28 years old, I believe. But listen, 20 years old is very young for a tight end. He's going to give you 4 to 5 years of very, very great tight end play. Probably, a couple tight end 2 seasons at the end of his career as well. So from what I've seen, a lot of people are lower on Andrews. He's at the bottom of this tier or even in the next tier. So I think it's a great buying opportunity if you have a need at tight end. Go out and send an offer out for Mark Andrews. Maybe you could get him for a late first round pick or even an early second if you're super lucky.
Yeah. If you're a Dalton Kincaid owner, you've got to love the fact that Buffalo didn't really grab any of the top wide receivers.
Oh, right. And I think the guy that they did grab is the kind of field stretching, or I should say like boundary player that should open things up for Kincaid. So yeah, I loved that selection of Keon Coleman for Dalton Kincaid. He did jump up in my rankings, in my personal rankings. He didn't have the same production that Laporta had year 1, but we saw flashes of his talent, and I think he's going to be the main target in Buffalo's passing offense, if I had to guess. So that's an elite offense, and to be the number 1 option with Diggs gone opens up a lot of targets there. So yeah, I really like Kincaid.
All right. And then the guy that came out of nowhere last year, Trey McBride, makes it in at number 6.
Yeah, so Trey McBride, a guy He's very talented. He flashed excellent ability last year, but he really didn't have anything in terms of target competition. They've just brought in Marvin Harrison Jr., so I worried a little bit about his targets. But at the same time, he's the clear number two option there. Kyler Murray is capable of throwing for a lot of yards, and I think he's going to be a good security blanket for. They showed a good rapport last season, so I do really like McBride. If somebody's selling him because they think he's going to be negatively affected by Marvin Harrison Jr., then I think you should go out and buy.
Now, I can't do it for you. The inches we need are everywhere around us. What are you gonna do? Like!
Like! Like! Subscribe! 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 Subscribe!
And then, yeah, I've got Kelsey in his own tier because I think he can be a league. He just signed a contract for two more seasons. So he's going to be there for two more seasons. I fully expect that. And that's a minimum, in my opinion. And you know what? I think he's still capable of being a league winner, a cheat code at tight end. So I'm still buying Travis Kelsey if I want to win a championship. And I think he's cheaper than he's ever been. Like maybe you could get him for like a high end second round pick or even a mid second round pick. I'm not really sure how people are valuing him. But I really like buying Travis Kelsey if you want to leg up at tight end. And then I'm not as confident with the guys behind him. So that's why he's in his own tier.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think there's a pretty significant drop off to the next guys. And essentially, I think if you're in a league, one of the 8 guys that I've just mentioned, in some way, shape, or form, you've really got to have one of those guys. I think, if you're competing, the next group of guys, I mean, is kind of like the best of the rest. But certainly, your team is not going to be in as good shape. But here they are. The next 4 is Evan Ingram, Dallas Goedert, Kittle, and Kmet.
Yeah, so I think especially with Kittle, Goddard, and Ingram, I think you can feel comfortable slotting them into your starting lineup. I think they'll give you a good amount of production, consistent production. Kmet, I'm not as confident. He's in this tier based on age mostly. And then I wanted to have a clean 12, top 12 tight ends. So I had him there. But yeah, he's a bit younger than the other guys. I think the other guys, they're a little bit, their production is a little bit more secure. So in terms of like redraft perspective, I'm happier to have Goddard or Ingram than Kmet. But Kmet's here just based on his youth.
Okay, so like you mentioned, 12 guys, big tier drop off. And I think the strategy, assuming that you're in a one tight end league, whether it's a premium or not, you really want to have one of those top 8 guys in some way, shape, or form, whether you're rebuilding or if you're going for it. But yeah, the bottom 4 is the best of the rest. Any final words or anything that you want to talk about with the tight ends guys before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'm in Dynasty. I want to have one of the top 7 guys. I don't consider Kelsey there because he's older and he's not going to hold his value at all. I just like buying Kelsey if I'm going for a championship. If I'm a top 2 or a top 3 team and I'm going for a championship, Kelsey could probably elevate me to like the best team in the league just to get me my championship. So just from a dynasty perspective, I want one of these top 7 guys, and I'm trying to make offers for guys like Kincaid or Mark Andrews or somebody like that.
Okay. One last thing is I would say there's 2 more rookies that you might consider from the year's draft in Sanders and Senat. How far down are they, would you say, from making that top 12?
Senat's a little bit closer. I think he's probably in the top like 18 or something around the 17-18 range, based on the second round draft capital and his youth. I think Ja'Tavion Sanders is much lower, probably around 24, 25. I don't know. I haven't looked at it, but he was drafted with the first pick of the 4th round. That pick does not hit too frequently. He got a great landing spot with the Panthers. I think it suits his skill set. So I like using like an early 3rd round pick or a mid 3rd round pick on him, I should say. But yeah, I think that's what he's worth. I wouldn't really put him anywhere close to the top 12.
Okay, well, that wraps up our positional ranks for all 4 of the major positions. Let us know what you think. Did you agree or disagree with these rankings? You can comment below or join our Facebook group and comment there. Join our community as we discuss fantasy football. And remember, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and then join us next time for another edition of Fantasy Football Freaks.